When I ran for office with my team, we felt what was most important was to listen to the residents, hear what their concerns are, and then address those concerns. When we were elected, starting in January of 2012, one of my mayor's State of the Woodcliff Lake report, what are the things that we wanted to accomplish? And one of the tenets was to be open and transparent, and the best way to do that was to broadcast your mayor and council meetings, your planning board meetings, your board of adjustment meetings, and any of the board meetings that we have, which would include our board of health, live. So our residents, because get to see what is happening, and some people don't want to show up at a borough hall because if they show up, it sometimes has a connotation of what their political orientation might be, whether to a side or to an issue, or to a party or to an issue. But people have no problem watching at home and learning what's happening. And I really believe that the more educated and the more open we are, and the way people get educated is by seeing and hearing and understanding what's going on, and therefore they're able to come down to a meeting. And by being an open and transparent organization, first of all, a government should have nothing to hide. If there are negotiations for certain things, yeah, those come out when they come out. But day-to-day running of the business and running of a municipality, our residents have the right to know.
Well, I assume that part of what you did in your electoral process was articulate that view, and so
not only that, but in our newsletters to the residents, our newsletters, I share with them everything that's going on. I'm a firm believer in the facts are the facts. You can have your own opinion, but the facts stay the facts. So we share with everybody. From day one, the issue was we were the minority. It was a council that was split. It was a minority. So we had a council there that wasn't as cooperative as we needed to get it to be done. And then year two, when we became the majority, it started to become easier. But you also have to have the talent. And the talent meaning your council members, and your council members also have to have the ability to get the job done. So last year we started with a councilman from the opposite side of the aisle. I said, get it done, because I knew we had the skill set, and we were on the same page, and that's Councilman Corrado Belgivini, and he got it done.
Interesting. Now, just so the folks know, this is a town that elects a mayor and elects a staggered 6-member council, if I understand it correctly. And I assume that the council itself then sort of proposes legislation, and you get to vote only if there's a tie, if I understand it correctly.
We're a borough form of government, correct.
So can you talk a little bit about how you sort of led the town into that? I mean, you just described how the skill set became important for implementing it, but how did that actually happen? And because it's really quite unusual to
it's all about we're neighbors. You know, I tell everybody what happens in Woodcliff Lake happens in Washington. The difference is we've got 6 council people to work with. Sometimes it's not as easy when it's all on your side. Sometimes it's easier when everyone's on the opposite side. To me, it's all about leadership. It's all about a vision. It's all about sharing. And people don't care what you know till they know that you care. We've implemented quarterly, to take you backwards one step, we've implemented quarterly staff meetings. So I meet with the police, DPW, and Borough Hall once a quarter. I share with them what's on my mind, and I want to know from them issues that need to be addressed. Every employee has my cell phone number, and virtually every resident has my cell phone number. If they don't, they just haven't asked for it because it's out there. So it took its leadership working together to say we had a mantra to be a top 10 town. The New Jersey Monthly came out with the ratings. We were ranked 88 in 2011. In 2013, we were 6. So everything has to be tied to a metric of wanting to be the best community, best school system, the best ball fields. Our roads are clear when the snow drops. The leaves are picked up. Everything that we do, provide services to our seniors. It wants to be the best. And it's a vision that I shared with everybody day one. And people, when they keep hearing it over and over again, then it becomes a mission for all of us to follow. And it's really working together.
How long? I mean, you were elected in 2011. Took office in 2012.
So
when did you start?
Now 41 months. Not that I'm counting.
Exactly. And when did you have your first videoing and broadcasting of the council?
We started under the premise of trying to utilize the resources of our municipality, which means tapping our students at Pascack Hills High School. Then there was a question of legality. Again, people put impediments and roadblocks to make this happen. Because unfortunately, most council meetings in a lot of municipalities, they become personal instead of focusing on the greater good. And in ours, we decided that Dad walked in the room, and the children are going to behave, and we're going to work together. And you don't want to work together. The gavel's coming out because I don't want to, but people look at sometimes it's a circus that goes on when you see some of the meetings. When you're videotaping or watching a meeting, you're live. I always say to everybody, do you like being on do you like watching reality TV? People said, yeah, I love watching reality TV. I said, would you like to be the character on it? No, I don't want to be the character on it. I says, well, good luck, because in council, it's reality TV.
So, again, you were elected, you began in 2012. When was the council actually begin broadcasting in the way you're just articulating?
It really went full force this year.
And
we've really been live since probably around February, March.
And
with the hiccups, we keep learning of
sure,
where the mics have to, where people have to speak so they're loud enough, and the learning curve was pretty fast.
And then your board of
right away
adjustment and planning board.
The minute we did it, everybody followed suit with the subsequent meetings.
I assume that was by their own vote rather than or did the council direct it?
It was a directive. Even though we're a borough form of government, and you're correct, I only vote in a tie. And if you read really how boroughs run, I'm there to set the agenda. Well, to me, the agenda doesn't mean for the monthly meetings. To me, somebody's got to have the vision and the drive to say, what does it take to make this municipality the best it can be?
What has been the reaction of the citizens? Is there much discussion?
Love it. Now everybody's shocked how many people watch, because you get the text messages from different people. You just went black. The volume went out, and people show up to meetings now because they see something's on the agenda, because they're 5 minute. Nobody's more than 5-10 minute drive. 5-minute drive. So you know that if there's going to be, and I'm a firm believer in public comment. Not just at the end of the meeting. If we're on a particular subject, even though the council's not going to vote, let's listen to the audience.
So there's actual participation, public input, not just at one particular moment in the.
As long as I ask the pleasure, if I always say to the pleasure of the council, would they allow public input? So people now, when they're watching, have the ability. We've had people show up to meetings.
I've seen that happen actually in a town that does simultaneous broadcast.
Now they want to say something.
Right.
Where if they wouldn't be watching on TV, they wouldn't have seen it.
Right.
And again, the more people you listen to, we're really blessed when you look at the intellectual capital that's in this municipality. And if you don't tap what you have as the resources, shame on us.
Well, and in fact, if you think about it, people realize that their expertise might really be important to something you're discussing. And if you're actually going to provide an opportunity to tell you something about it.
Look, I'm not here to talk politics. Again, it's facts. My opponents were upset how many citizen committees I appointed. Well, we have an insurance committee that we have. It's now back live. Because the people around that table are HR people, CEOs, CFOs, who deal with this. They know what's happening in the private sector. And now they get to see what the public sector has. And they see the salaries of the public sector. They're making recommendations, they're making them not as a politician, they're making them as a taxpayer and as a resident.
Isn't it amazing that actually the sort of town meeting conception of New England politics is actually being made to come alive now with the technology that's taking the stuff into the home.
It can be made, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, which is why we went back to broadcast live.
Mm-hmm.
And I also believe that the council behaves better.
Well, I think that's almost certainly the case.
Because you can't take back what you said it. So, you know.
You get this out simultaneously, and people can pick it up on their.
We broadcast on our electronic board,
right,
my Twitter account, our borough website. At the meetings prior, that it was going to be on Verizon Fios and Cablevision, channel 37, channel 77. So we kept on getting the word out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to have the meetings broadcast and no one knows that they're available,
mm-hmm. Doesn't make any difference.
Then you might as well not even have the meeting.
That's right.
I mean, excuse me, not have the broadcast.
Now, if someone wants to see something after it's been done, is there a way for them?
That's our problem right now. Is we are able to record it, but we're not able to go back and stream them on cable. That's going to take more dollars. Then again, we want to make it as seamless as possible. Go on the borough website. You want to see the June 8th meeting. Here's the June 8th meeting, the June 22nd meeting, or whether it's the May 4th meeting or the May 18th meeting. You can now play it back and see what you want to see.
Yeah, and that lies ahead.
You have Oprah requests. Just take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I've been chastised for handing papers right to residents.
Mm-hmm.
Said, listen here, I have to make a request. You know who's going to make the request, so here's my copy.
Here's my copy. Yep. One of the things which is extraordinarily interesting to take a look at, as we have begun to do some research on this, is how the different people are playing it out. Some people do not have simultaneous broadcast at all, losing much of what you just discussed about both the immediacy and also the potential to be interactive once you see what's actually going on.
Not changing. To me, there's nothing as important as live.
As the immediacy.
Yeah. You need it. You need to be in the moment. Right? People need. We have depends on what issue is in front of a board, whether it's the planning board or the board of adjustment. We can't house more than 60, 70 people here. So people say, move it to the Tice Center. I said, no, then it's not live and it can't be recorded.
Yeah. And
this is where we have the resources to do it. This is where we're going to do it.
I've watched towns actually move their meetings and then lose the broadcasting aspect.
And some people want that on the council, so their comments are, again, the way we say things is not the way the press might report them,
mm-hmm.
or the way they're written on a piece of paper. But sometimes it's important to hear people's
the inflection, the interaction,
yeah.
all that stuff is right there. I think we have the picture as you've given it to us, and I'm really appreciative.
If everybody did this, we'd be better off.
And
you know.
And it is happening, though there's significant opposition in many of the towns to doing this.
Because you have to behave.
Do you think that if you had a vote of the council now, you'd get 6-0 or 5-1? What do you think it would be? Yes,
6-0.
6-0. That is.
Absolutely.
Isn't that like that's lovely?
And you see how much I hesitated with that answer.
Mm-hmm. 6-0. That is. Well, congratulations, and we'll make sure that the rest of the county knows more about what you folks are doing. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.